What's up everyone, Fritz here again with another episode of Sneakerhead Ambition, and today I'm going to provide a little different video. I'm going to do a drop setup video for Yeezy Day, which is on August 2nd. It's a Tuesday, so I'm just going to go over some of the things that I've been thinking about with my planning process, and hopefully will help you maximize your setup and maximize your day on Yeezy Day. So starting off, just a quick rundown of what Yeezy Day should look like. We have had a couple of these before. We had one last year, and then there was one 2 years ago. So we do have something to go off of when doing our planning and prep. The day is supposed to start at about 9 a.m. That's what I've seen from the sources that I have right now. So I would anticipate that the day is going to go from about 9 to 9. So I think it will be about 12 hours, could be a little more, could be a little less. But the US day is supposed to be on Tuesday the 2nd. So like I said, I would anticipate it being from about 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with drops more or less kind of on the hour or every other hour during that day. Now, this definitely takes a lot of planning and prep to have a good setup heading into this, to know what SKUs you're gonna run, to divvy up your Gmails, to get the right proxies. So there are a lot of things to think about. This isn't just an hour drop that really changes what you're looking at from a resource perspective. So I am going to go over the different things that I have been thinking about when planning, and just what I think you're really going to need to think about heading into the day if you want to have a lot of success. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to obviously look at before you look at bots, proxies, Gmails is going to be which pairs you are looking to run for. Obviously, we are all in different places with our setups, right? How many bots we have, proxies, Gmails, how much capital we have, if we're running for other people. But you do need to have a good idea of what you're actually going to be going for on this day. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the sneakers that are dropping on here. If you're in cook groups, they should have it. And if you're not, there's plenty of online resources. Just go on Google and look it up. The information's out there. I'm not going to discuss that in this episode, but I promise you that there are a lot of profitable pairs dropping. You need to know, kind of going into it, kind of like a ranking of what is the most important pair, second, third, fourth. You need to have some hierarchy going into this day to kind of get an idea of when you should run hard, when you should run maybe one bot, run all five, right? Run all your Gmails. You need to have some idea going into the day of how important each pair is. If you go into the day and just start looking at the screen, you might end up running way too much for one pair. You might overvalue another. Basically, just kind of go through all the pairs that are dropping and rank them so that you have a better idea going into the day. If you see within the first 2 hours your number 2 shoe drops, go for it, right? But if you lead up in the first couple hours and there's nothing, but you know that down the line there are 5 to 6 pairs that you really want, that's something to consider. So I can't tell you how to rank these. Everybody has different selling networks, but just go through the pairs, look at the prices, look at who you sell to, and see what works for you. Now, as far as the bots go and your setup, you need to consider how different this is going to be from when you have just one drop to set up for and you have days in advance to set up for. You're going to need to have a setup that is flexible going into this day, that you're able to manipulate pretty easily, right? So what am I saying about this? Some people that have run before 20, 30 servers, that's going to be really hard to do on this day for multiple SKUs, right? It's going to be very difficult to get in and out of all these SKUs. It just is going to take a lot of time. So just consider what you're running. If you want to run for 10 pairs on the day, you might need to downgrade your setup some to be able to last through all of that, right? We're going to get into Gmails and proxies in a second, but you might need to lessen the amount of bots you are running to be able to endure that entire day. Now, there are some people out there who might really only go hard for 2 or 3 pairs on the day. That makes it easier, right? But when you really are looking at running for 8, 10, 12 of these SKUs, which again, there are a lot of profitable options on this day, you need to look at what's actually feasible, right? You likely have enough Gmails to get your setup through one drop, right? That's what all of us are usually doing. But this is a completely different game when you're talking about running all day and being able to run at the same success rate all day, right? Your Gmails are going to take a beating, right? Your Resi data is going to take a beating. So you need to consider these things when you're kind of thinking about the day and how long it's going to be and how many bots you're going to legit be able to run, right? You might usually be able to run 10. I don't know that that's the best idea. I'm sure there are people out there who will, but again, just kind of be practical with what you're thinking about, your resources, your capital, what you're going for, and then start planning about how many bots you're going to have. I would also recommend making very basic setups within your bot. So what do I mean by that? If you usually have like 5 different Resi providers, 4 different ISP providers, and you have all these different groups within your bot, right? That's going to take longer to change. So again, I would try to simplify the lists, right? The task list that you have within each bot. I usually have 5 or 6, right? But I'm gonna try to stick to like 3. Again, to make my setup more malleable, I'm able to transition from SKU to SKU to SKU a lot easier because there is just less to change. So just think about your setup and how easily you are able to manipulate it, right? If you are able to run through in 10 minutes and change all the SKUs for all your bots, that's probably a good place to be because that's, a small enough amount time frame that you're gonna be good. If you have to go on 10, 20, right? Like if you've got to go down the rabbit hole of servers to get to all of your bots, it might be a little different. So again, are there gonna be people out there running ridiculous amounts of servers? Yes, but I think, again, unless they have 10K Gmails, right? I don't know how long that's gonna last. But again, this is not a do this, and that episode, right? Because I can't tell someone what they should do because everybody's situation is different. So I'm not trying to provide you with a to-do list, but more of a framework to kind of view this entire day and your setup. If you do have a lot of bots and you are not looking to run them all, I also would say that doesn't have to be the case all day, right? You could have 1 or 2 SKUs that you are gonna unload on, right? You are gonna put everything you have into those, and you might have 2 other bots that you're gonna run on more or less 10 drops, right? So again, just see the flexibility, right? See all of the options that you have. It really is a lot different than planning for that 1-day drop. But again, just think about that. You don't need to run every bot you have on every SKU. You can scale in or out, again, depending on where that SKU ranks in your kind of hierarchy that you have done before the drop. As far as your Gmails are concerned, I would look at trying to break them up into maybe 2 or 3 groups, right? And that's gonna really be a crucial indicator of how many bots you can run. Like, how many Gmails do you have if you're going to run through 3 kind of lists of Gmails, right? So really look at that, look into how many you have, and like I said, try to break them into at least 2 groups. Don't run them all day. Last year, if you did use Gmails at the beginning of the day, farming them right after the drop while using other Gmails, so if you had like 2 lists and you ran the first one for the first 2 drops and then the second for the second 2, farming worked somewhat last year. I can't say definitely if that will work again this year, but you do need to, like I said, it's not fun to look at it if you have 45 Gmails and be like, man, I can only run 15 per drop. But again, the planning goes into that. So I can't tell you what to do. I have a lot of Gmails, right? I'm fortunate enough that I've been building them up over 3 years at this point, 3-4 years. So I have a couple hundred, right? That really changes how I view the day. But again, the same applies to a smaller scale, right? If I've got 100, that's how I have to go off my day. If you've got 15, 15, and 15, you need to adjust accordingly. So again, really look at your Gmails, do a honest take on what you have, and try to not run through all of them during the first couple hours. Recent news. I wrote this episode, I believe, on Thursday, and I'm posting it today, Saturday. Yesterday on Friday, there was a massive Gmail ban wave. So I would look at your Gmails, right? I said I had about 300, now I've got about 225. So I would definitely check your Gmail scores because a lot of mine got wiped off the map yesterday. Still good, right? Still have several hundred, but do look at your Gmail scores. If you haven't tested them in a while, I would definitely do that because there was a massive ban wave the other day. Another big thing to consider on Yeezy Day is obviously your proxies. Now, again, this day is very different from other drops, right? I would definitely look into getting daily ISPs. I'm usually hesitant to recommend to people that they go get a bunch of ISPs when they are just starting off just due to the price. Obviously, they do work better than residentials, but again, on a regular drop, right? I think it's more reasonable for somebody to spend $20, $50 on, residential proxies where they can run hundreds of tasks, right? Where for that same budget, you're looking at like 50 ISPs maybe. I think that the ISPs are definitely the move on this day. I have subnets I'm running. I have a lot of dailies I'm running. I'm running resis, right? Running metered resis. I'm running everything, but I'm not running the residentials as hard as I usually have, because if you've been watching my videos for a while, for the past like 2-3 months, residentials had a good run on Yeezy Supply. They did. If you look back at my videos, when that run started, I started to comment on it, and I was like, you know, there's usually 2 to 3 months, once or twice a year, where ISPs, I guess the ranges get banned. They just, for whatever reason, they don't perform quite as well on Yeezy Supply. That's not saying that ISPs ever do nothing, which I guess happens once a year, from my experience. But what I would say is this: on this day, knowing your fixed cost is a big deal, right? If you know going in that you're running mostly ISPs, you don't have to check the data all day, right? You can just set them, forget them, run them. They're going to work better. If you looked at my last video, right, that the tide has changed again. Out of my 34 pairs that I hit on the Yeezy slides last Monday, 90% of them about were ISPs. So really look at that. I know that it can be intimidating spending that money on them, but I think you're gonna find that if you buy residentials, they're gonna go quick, and you're gonna be just going back to the bank over and over and over again, re-upping your packages with those resi providers. So I do understand that it's not ideal for everybody to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on ISPs, but in reality, this day is a bigger opportunity to use them, just because you know what you're spending, right? You know going into the drop what you're spending. You're not gonna have to keep buying data. You're not gonna run out of data mid-drop multiple times. So again, I can't tell you what to do, but if you are hesitant to get ISPs or usually just get a couple, I would really look at getting more on this day, just because of the way the day is structured and how long it's gonna last. Another big thing to consider, which is again, obviously easier when you are going into one drop, is the capital that you have to spend. Again, going back to what I said earlier, that hierarchy of SKUs that you have for the pairs is going to play a big role in this. I would imagine that, you know, if you come up on your number one SKU, right, let's say the Turtle Doves, and you run out of money on those, I don't know that it's the worst thing in the world from a reseller perspective, right? Now, if you run out of money because you go for number 10 on your list too early and hit too many, or whatever the case may be, that's not good. So again, just do an inventory check, right? Not an inventory check, but just kind of check what you have available from a capital perspective. Obviously, some people run Amex, right? And they can run that up as much as they want. But if you are using cash, right? Or you're using, like I said, capital that you actually have, not credit, you do need to consider that. And again, going back to the start of the video, that planning is a critical piece in you doing well on this day and not wasting your resources on pairs you don't want to. So again, just have a realistic look at what you have to spend and know which pairs you are okay spending it all on. As far as what bots you should be running on Yeezy Day, I think it's pretty clear at this point. The top three are definitely Valor, Trickle, and Whatbot in no specific order. They all do extremely well and are clearly the top three Yeezy Supply bots over the past 3 to 6 months at least. That really hasn't changed much over the past couple months. So those are definitely the three that I would target trying to get. I'm not sure if Whatbot can be rented yet. I think it might be. I know Trickle and Valor aren't, but they do have some weeklies that are dropping today. I don't know when this video is going to be out. It's like 2. So you might see this in time. But again, those are the three I'd prioritize. And then below that, I would say if you're looking for other good bots, Wrath did extremely well on slides. That would probably be the number 4 option for me. And then also Toru and Prism have done pretty well. But that's my take on the situation. So I definitely prioritize those top 3, Trickle, Valor, Whatbot, and then if you can't get those, I definitely get Wrath next, and then either Prism or Toru. Something else to consider if you were not aware is that also it's not all going to be Yeezy Supply drops. I would imagine that that's going to be the majority. I'd say 80% of them are going to be on there, but they're also going to drop on Adidas and Confirmed. Now for Confirmed, right, there aren't really great working bots for it. I know Cyrus Rafflebot has a module, but I would just get a couple phones ready and enter when you can for that. But with Adidas, right, Ganesh and NSB have modules for Adidas. I'm going to be using Ganesh on that day for Adidas so that I can run for those as well. But if you weren't aware of that and you want to rent a bot for Adidas, do that. And if you weren't aware, definitely get a couple phones ready for Confirmed and just a couple tabs open for Adidas and do your best when those drop. But there should be some drops on those sites. But like I said, I would anticipate the majority of the drops being on Yeezy Supply. all in all, like I said, really just sit down and plan out your day well. Do that today, do that tomorrow, don't do it Monday night. That brings a whole nother stress level when you're trying to figure out all that stuff. So I've been planning for this for the past 2 days, right? The only thing that I've really needed to do yesterday and today was get dailies from companies that were dropping them. So I've done that. I got to get a rental for Ganesh tonight and trickle for an extra weekly. But other than that, that's really kind of what my take on the situation. Like I said, I don't have any concrete to-do lists for you or, just answers for everybody's questions, but I do hope that just this framework that I've provided can help you think through your personal situation and your resources so that you're successful on Yeezy Day. As always, a massive shout out and thank you to my sponsors. If you are looking for proxies, residentials, ISPs, metered resis, capture proxies, whatever the case may be, where I work with great companies that you can look at in the information section below. If you need Gmails, if you need servers, right? Whatever the case may be, just check that out. Like I said, I only work with companies that I've used prior to being sponsored with them or know from personal experience they work. So I promise you that all of them will work well. And just check those out if you need anything. There are discount codes and Discord invites down there if you need them. Anyways, that's all for today's video. As always, I hope that you were able to take something away from this, and I hope that it does help you perform better on Yeezy Day. Just check back in a couple days. I will have that live cop up either on Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'll be busy finishing up my setup, getting everything ready to roll. But per usual, check me out on my other social media accounts. I do post daily on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Those handles are in the information section below. And other than that, good luck. I will not be posting on YouTube again until after Yeezy Day, so we'll see how it goes. So until next time, see ya.